Live from MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland, this is the Boxing Along the Beltway post-fight wrap-up show. The Boxing Along the Beltway post-fight wrap-up show is brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxing ballerinas, from shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, we have great weight loss tips and great jewelry on Deborah, D-E-B-R-A Spears.com. Well, folks, tonight was a very sobering night of professional boxing here from the MGM National Harbor Casino. Not only was it sobering, in many cases it was flat out dull at times. It was a very rough card to kind of get through. In fact, as we speak, it is still going on because we still have two more bouts here. Actually, one just finished right after the main event tonight. Keyshawn Williams won by 6-round unanimous decision. But everything just seemed to be a little bit on the off side tonight, and no more off than what took place in our main event tonight. Now, I need to lead into this with a little bit of a story. Back on August 31st, 2001, I sat in the Burns Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, and I watched Vincent Petway, who was one of the great boxers of all time out of the Beltway, former IBF junior middleweight champion. Of course, he had that major win against Simon Brown at the USA Arena. Well, he was definitely on the tail end of his career at that time, and he got knocked out by Luis Rosado in the 6th round. And after the bout, myself, something I've never done before or since as a boxing writer, boxing broadcaster, boxing journalist, I went back in the Vincent Petway's dressing room, and myself and a number of other people, media and fans alike, and family members alike, begged Vincent Petway to stop boxing. Tonight, it was a similar situation with the exception that I didn't have to beg Lamont Peterson to stop boxing. Tonight, he did it himself after suffering a crushing 10th round TKO against Sergey Samurai Lipinets of Beverly Hills, California, tonight in the main event of the card here tonight. Actually, Peterson started off relatively well in the contest. He started off well. First few rounds, he was landing shots and was doing very well landing body shots in the contest. Excuse me. Unfortunately, Lipinets figured out somewhere mid-part of the bout that Peterson could not hurt him. And once he completely figured that out, he took control of the bout, and he ended up winning the bout again by 10th round TKO. And for the second straight time, Peterson's manager and father figure, Barry Hunter, had to stop the bout himself. He threw in the towel and stopped the bout, and stopped Peterson from going any further. And Peterson said immediately following the bout, quote, "It's been a long career, but today is the day." And I think it was definitely the day for Lamont Peterson.
And I think what it, even coming into his last couple of fights, he was always based on how he would perform and how he would feel. Mm-hmm. And basically today was told him his performance, it was a total tale making him retire, and the way he lost the fight was the telltale that, okay, it's time to stop.
It was weird in the sense that because in the 5th round, we had a situation, and I don't know what happened here, and I was looking, I kind of could get a glimpse of where Don Richard, the timekeeper, was at ringside, and it looked like somewhere along the line the bell rang prematurely, and they had to continue the 5th round of that contest. And again, neither guy was hurt by it, so it really wasn't didn't turn out to be not a huge thing. Barry Hunter did have some choice words for Don Richard afterwards, but really it was not a big thing. It really wasn't. But in the 10th round, Lipinets landed a solid right. Well, it was a solid right hand that probably wasn't as harmful as it might have been to Lamont Peterson maybe a few years ago. He may have been able to glance that off. He couldn't glance it off tonight. It glanced off him and made him stumble. And then Lipinets really closed the show very, very well to his credit, and knocked Peterson down to the canvas. And that's when Barry Hunter threw in the towel and the fight was over.
Yeah, I think Barry Hunter saw that before that shot even landed, that Lipinets was actually stepping it up a little bit, starting to land more cleaner shots. And that one toe-tail shot that he did land, which was the right hand, when Lamont was actually avoiding one shot and coming back around, and then he got caught with that. Made him stumble backwards. And then once the Lipinets, a good fighter that he is, saw that Lamont was hurt, he jumped on him then.
Yeah, it was no question about that. It was just a tough night all the way around for Lamont Peterson. And if it is his swan song, and I have no reason to believe that it won't be his swan song. The age of 35, getting ready to turn 36. Again, he has nowhere to go at this point. I mean, he's not a viable contender.
In his career, he did a lot, accomplished a lot. He accomplished a lot in his career. So this is something that a fighter that looks to retire does, and that's what he did.
Yeah, 3-time world champion. Had one of the greatest bouts in Beltway boxing history against Amir Khan. The win against David Ivan-Neeson to win the WBA welterweight title. He had great bouts against guys like Danny Garcia, and there's nothing that he has not done. Even going back to his amateur days, he was a national Golden Glove champion, and he was a tremendous boxer. And
he fought at a high level for a long time. So he competed at a high level for a long time. And like I said, fighters with careers like that, at some point you have to realize it has to come to an end. Mm-hmm. And like I said, coming into this fight, his previous fights, he was saying that he was going to base things fight per fight, based on how he feel. If he wouldn't have gotten knocked out his last fight and he felt that he might have had enough, even though he won it, he might have retired then. Right. But he felt like he had something else in the tank. So he went back to training and came to this one. And then, this is the result. Not saying it's a bad result, but this tells him where he was and what he needed to do for himself, his health, and his career.
No question. And his family and everything else along the line. So Lamont Peterson's career ends at 34-5-1. With 17 knockouts. Again, a 3-time world champion, a tremendous career. Will definitely be in the DC Boxing Hall of Fame. I think he's borderline in National Boxing Hall of Fame. All depends how things go down the way. But tremendous career. We can all be proud of him. He was an outstanding boxer. And we wish him well in his future endeavors. Now, who knows, at 34 years old, the same may be said for Lamont's brother, Anthony Peterson. Because Anthony Peterson tonight fought a 10-round draw against Argenis La Terminada Mendez of Yonkers, New York. And that was a tough bout as well. You can call it either way on that situation. Peterson had a tough time. I think he made a mistake by using the outside and staying on the outside and not landing shots, especially early on in the contest. He didn't land a lot of shots down the way. So, it was a tough start for Anthony Peterson. He kind of picked it up in the mid-rounds, but Mendez was throwing some hard shots as well.
And with Anthony's career, to me it all started with the loss when he fought Brandon Rios. Mm-hmm. And when he took the layoff from that point to the long stretches between bouts and fights for him, and he needed fights to basically root his career. Mm-hmm. And basically he wasn't having those fights. He was just taking fights, but it wasn't any fights that would catapult him to get a championship fight. Mm-hmm. And I think this year was the time I think he wants to do that. But with this draw that he had with Mendez, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do that going forward. Judge John Gradowski scored about for Mendez, 96-94. Larry Hazard Jr., who had a weird night tonight, in all honesty, he scored about for Peterson, 96-94. And Paul Wallace saw the draw at 95-95. So right now, Anthony Peterson, who's probably going to be, if he still stay in the business, the main cog in the headbanger's wheel right now. But at what cost? And what situation what will happen to Anthony Peterson down the road? He is now 37-1-1 with 24 KOs, Argenis Mendez, should say, 25-5-2, I should say, with 12 knockouts to his credit. Now, as we said, a lot of the bouts tonight were very dull, very lackluster overall. Before we get to the bout that we thought might have been the best bout, I think was the best bout of the night, and that was the co-main event on this card between Jamonte Clark and Vernon Brown. Let's get through the rest of the Beltway boxers that we've had so far. Let's start with the split decision loss for Brandon Bulldog Quarles out of Alexandria, Virginia. He lost 8-round split decision, to Aaron Coley of Haywood, California. And that was a situation where Brandon Quarles was not effective early, and that started the bad roll for Brandon Quarles.
Yeah, Brandon, he was coming off some good wins coming into this fight. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, fighters might feel good doing training and feel good coming into the ring, but for some reason, everything is not in sync. Mm-hmm. And tonight, that's what it was. It just wasn't in sync for Brandon tonight. And then a lot of things, happened in Brandon's life with the loss of his mom and everything. Right. So right now, to me, the loss didn't affect him like it did in the past when his mom was alive, because I had a chance to talk to him after the fight, and he said if this would happen a few years ago, he said he probably would have been in the slumps because he lost the fight. Mm-hmm. But he said now, since his mom passed, he says nothing can happen worse than him worse than that. Mm-hmm. So this fight, losing this fight, doesn't bother him not one bit.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I mean, even in the toughness of his mother passing away, it's good to hear that he has that attitude. Brandon Quarles now is 21-5-1, 10 KOs. Aaron Coley fought very well tonight. He is now 16-1-2, with 7 KOs to his credit. Decent performance for Lorenzo Truck Simpson out of Baltimore, going 4 rounds for the first time in his young pro career. He scored a 4-round unanimous decision win over the debuting Jaime Meza of Compton, California. Now, Simpson did score a quick knockdown in the first round. Meza came back to his credit, but Simpson pretty much dominated that contest.
Yeah, it was a odd knockdown to me, because Meza did a complete 360, and as he finished his 360, he got caught with that left hand and hit the canvas immediately, but he bounced right back up. Yeah, and that was the thing. And I asked Simpson about that. How did he respond when he saw Meza back jump straight up and was still coming forward? He said, it was something that he pretty much needed. And he knew he was going to be in a tougher fight than he was in the past. And I think a fight like this early in his career, in the third fight, where he used to having power and knocking guys out early in fights, this pretty much lets him know how the professional game is, where you're going to meet some guys that you can knock out early in your career, but some guys can take your power.
No question about that. So Lorenzo Simpson is now 3-0, 2 KOs, and Jaime Meza falls in his pro debut. Also on the card tonight, Kobe the Soldier Breedy, who Ray Flores kept calling Kabaya, even though I told him personally that it is Kobe the Soldier Breedy. Yeah. Won by technical unanimous decision tonight in the 6th round after a head clash between himself and Fernando Fuentes of Hemet, California, caused a massive gash in the eye and down the face of Fernando Fuentes, and the doctors at ringside stopped the bout, and Breedy was bleeding on points and ended up getting the victory.
Yeah, but Breedy, I think I think he needs to use his jab a little bit more, because he has the ability to put some nice combinations together. But the thing is, he steps in too many times without using the jab, and he starts to try to do more body work without setting up punches with the jab. But if to me, he's doing good, because he's coming from fighting from 135. Actually, he's supposed to start his career at 126, but he could never get any fights at 126 locally. Yeah. So he had to jump up to 130, 135, and he competed well because he's still undefeated. And then now he's at his natural weight at 126, and I think he should have a lot more power. And if he sets it up right, he just start getting more knockouts and don't have to go the distance a lot in these fights. Okay,
good enough. And so Kobe Breedy remains undefeated. He's 12-0, 3 KOs, while Fuentes falls to 15-8-1, 4 KOs. Kareem Remo Martin fought in the 6th round of the night. He fought a 6th-round split decision and won the victory over Joaquin Chavez of Commerce, California. Martin, again, I think he started a little slow for his taste, and his power right now just is not there.
Yeah, he has he has the leverage on his back foot, but he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power to. That's where he takes the power away. Mm-hmm. When he leans on that back foot a lot, and I constantly watch him throughout his fights, and that's what he consistently does a lot. So if he learns how to get off that back foot and use his jab a little bit more and put those combinations together, I think he should be able to take some tougher fights and be able to be okay in them. But he keeps fighting the way he is. Those tough fights are going to be tough.
Yeah, no question about that. Green Martin got the win on the cards of David Brazlow and John Gradowski. Brazlow scored about 60-54, while Gradowski scored about 59-55. And Chavez got the win on Larry Heiser Jr.'s card, 58-56. Green Martin now 12-2-1, 3 KOs. And Joaquin Chavez 9-19-3 with 2 KOs. Tough loss for Mark Salas Duncan out of Clarksburg, Maryland. He's the middleweight, and he lost a 6th-round split decision to Arturo Izquierdo of Las Vegas, Nevada. Izquierdo dropped Duncan early in the 2nd round with a solid left hand, but Duncan, to his credit, fighting his first 6th-rounder, came back, fought very, very well the rest of the way, but wasn't enough. He did get the win on Hazard Jr.'s card, 57-56, but Gradowski and Wallace scored about 57-56 both for Izquierdo, and Izquierdo went on to the victory. Duncan is now lost for the first time in his career. He's 3-1, 3 KOs. Izquierdo rises to 6-2 with 2 KOs. In the opening bout tonight, Adrian Benton, the undefeated, the debuting lightweight from Cincinnati, Ohio, 2018 National Golden Glove champion. He won a 4-round unanimous decision over Archie Weah of Monrovia, Liberia. All 3 judges scored about 40-36. It was a pretty easy bout from what I saw. I didn't see the whole of it because a lot of the press were involved in the Jared Hurd press conference that took place today to officially announce Jared Hurd's bout against Julian Williams. And by the way, got a chance to watch a little bit of Jared's performance tonight on FS1, and I thought he did an outstanding job working with Chris Myers and Hall of Fame boxer Ray Boom Boom Mancini. So it was a great night for him, no question about that. He did a wonderful job. And just as we went on the air tonight, Keyshawn Williams won a 6-round unanimous decision win over Evency prize fighter Dixon. Keyshawn Williams known as the next best thing. He scored a 6-round unanimous decision. Williams scored a 6-round unanimous decision over Evency Dixon. All 3 judges scored about 60-54. So great night for Keyshawn Williams. In the ring right now, we have Ramon Cardenas. He's out of San Antonio, Texas, and he's been training with the Headbangers for this bout as he takes on Ryan Allen of Las Vegas, Nevada. The bout is midway through. So, and we still have Patrick Harris, and we'll get those results to you on the blogs, on both boxonthebeltway.blogspot.com and on proamfighttalk.blogspot.com as well. We'll get those final results for you for this card coming up a little bit later on. So we go into April. Actually, we got some bouts in March coming up. Kobe Madison is fighting March 29th, I believe it is, over in Philadelphia, I believe it is, or North Carolina, one of the two. We'll double check that. Kobe Madison, I think he's fighting Philadelphia. He's fighting Philadelphia. Also, Dustin Hernandez Harrison scheduled to fight sometime, I think, by the end of this month. And of course, we have the big April we're talking about that starts with the Washington Golden Gloves Championships that'll be held on Saturday, April 6th, from Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Juan Marshall and I will have to call that bout on Saturday, April the 6th at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time for the 7:30 start. So don't forget to be with us to talk about the entire April schedule. It seems to get bigger and bigger coming up, and May will be right behind that because we got no less than 3 straight cards I've heard now in May. We've got May 4th in Waldorf. We've got May 11th at Eagle Bank Arena. That's, of course, Jared Hurd against Julian Williams. And I've just heard that May 18th, will be at the Entertainment and Sports Arena for the DC Fight Night card. So we got a lot going on in April and May, so stay with us right here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network for up-to-dates, and also stay with us on our blogs, boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com and proamfighttalk.blogspot.com for further information. That'll do it here tonight from MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland, where, again, a really weird card kind of finished up tonight. It was a very lackluster card, in all honesty, but, again, it's still going on as we speak, and the crowd is still here. We had a great crowd tonight. Ended up having a great crowd here tonight from the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland. The Boxing on Beltway post-fight wrap-up show on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips and great jewelry. You go to Deborah, D-E-B-R-A Spears.com. For Juan Marshall, I'm Gary Digital Williams saying so long from the MGM National Harbor Casino. Don't forget to join us 2 weeks from Saturday at the Washington Golden Gloves on Saturday, April 6th. Until then, thanks for listening, and always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.